George Harrison, born George Harold Harrison, was an English musician, singer, songwriter, and music producer who gained worldwide fame as the lead guitarist of the Beatles. Born on February 25, 1943 in Liverpool, England, Harrison was the youngest of 4 children in a working-class family. The future phenom developed an interest in music at a young age and was inspired by skiffle and rock and roll. In early 1956, he had an epiphany. While riding his bicycle, he heard Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel playing from a nearby house, and the song piqued his interest in rock and roll. His father bought him a guitar later that year, and Harrison formed a skiffle group, the Rebels, with his brother Peter and a friend, Arthur Kelly. On the bus to school, Harrison met Paul McCartney, who also attended the Liverpool Institute, and the pair bonded over their shared love of music. 2 years later, in 1958, at McCartney's urging, Harrison joined the Quarrymen, a band formed by John Lennon which evolved into the Beatles. Harrison had just turned 15. Let me pause for a second and ask a favor. If you've learned anything in the last 60 seconds, show us some love and like the video. We'd appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on. So Harrison left school at 16 and worked for several months as an apprentice electrician at Blackler's, a local department store. In 1960, the Beatles, as the group was now known, went on tour in Scotland, then took up a residency in Hamburg, but that was short-lived because Harrison was deported for being too young to work in nightclubs. The following year, 1961, the band released its first single, Love Me Do, peaked at number 17 on the record retailer chart, and by the time their debut album, Please Please Me, was released in early 1963, Beatlemania had arrived. George, as the lead guitarist of the Beatles, played a crucial role in the band's success. He contributed to the songwriting, although his compositions often took a back seat to the prolific output of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Some of his notable songs with the Beatles include While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Something, and Here Comes the Sun. By late 1966, Harrison's interests had moved away from the Beatles, and in 1968 he released his first solo album, Wonderwall Music, while still working with the Beatles. He released a second solo album in 1969, again while still a Beatle, but the band was very fragmented at this point, and the following year they broke up. After the Beatles disbanded in 1970, Harrison continued with his solo career, releasing All Things Must Pass, which is widely regarded as one of the best solo albums by a former Beatle. Other notable albums include Living in the Material World in 1973 and Cloud 9 in 1987. Harrison responded to a request by Ravi Shankar by organizing a charity event, the Concert for Bangladesh, which took place on the 1st of August, 1971. The event drew over 40,000 people to 2 shows in New York's Madison Square Garden, raising money to aid starving refugees during the Bangladesh Liberation War. Shankar opened the show, which featured popular musicians such as Bob Dylan, Leon Russell, Badfinger, Billy Preston, Ringo Starr, and Eric Clapton. We could probably do a whole video on his relationship with Eric Clapton, but let's just say it was unique. Short version. They were best friends, but Clapton pursued and had an affair with Harrison's wife, Pattie Boyd. The song Layla, which is about her, was written while she was still married to Harrison. After they divorced, she married Clapton, and somehow Harrison and Clapton remained friends. In 1988, Harrison formed the Traveling Wilburys with Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, Bob Dylan, and Tom Petty, possibly one of the best so-called supergroups in the history of music. On December 30th, 1999, Harrison and his wife Olivia were attacked in their home. Michael Abram, a 34-year-old paranoid schizophrenic, broke in and attacked Harrison with a kitchen knife, puncturing a lung and causing head injuries before his wife incapacitated the assailant by striking him repeatedly with a fireplace poker and a lamp. Harrison was hospitalized with more than 40 stab wounds, and part of his punctured lung was removed. On the 29th of November, 2001, Harrison died at a property belonging to Paul McCartney on Heather Road in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles. He was just 58 years old. George Harrison left a lasting impression as a talented musician, a spiritual seeker, and a beloved member of the Beatles. His contributions to music and culture continue to be celebrated, and his influence can be heard in the work of many artists across generations. Thanks for watching to the end. If you got this far, we have to imagine you enjoyed the video. So if you want more people to see it, give it a like and comment your favorite George Harrison memory. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes of Life Story.